When I started drinking in beer, along with the amphetamines, I'd drink about 4 or 5 a night, but I got up to 12, 14.
Country music has never just been about songs. It's been about secrets. Behind the glitter of the Opry stage, rumors have always run wild. Some were too strange to believe, others sounded like barroom jokes. But the truth is, many of those whispers turned out to be real. From shocking affairs and crushing addictions to legends rejected and betrayed, these are 13 country music rumors that were shockingly true. Each entry on this list is a story once dismissed as gossip, until the truth finally clawed its way to the surface. This is the side of country music you were never supposed to hear. Number 13. Willie Nelson's infamous IRS debt. For years, Nashville was alive with whispers about Willie Nelson owing the government more money than any artist could ever repay. It sounded like the kind of tall tale you'd hear over a late-night poker game. The red-headed stranger drowning in debt so big it could swallow a town. But this wasn't just gossip. It was real. In the late 1980s, Nelson's business managers had made risky and disastrous tax shelter deals, leaving him on the hook for a staggering $32 million. By 1990, the IRS moved in like a storm. They seized his properties, emptied his bank accounts, and even auctioned off his most prized possessions, from gold records to his ranch. Fans were shocked to see Willie stripped bare, left with little more than his guitar. But Willie did what Willie always does. He turned pain into music. He released a stripped-down album called The IRS Tapes. Who'll Buy My Memories? Sold directly through late-night TV ads where every dollar went toward paying off the debt. His fans rallied behind him, buying the record not just as music, but as a lifeline. Slowly, impossibly, Nelson dug himself out of the hole. What began as an unbelievable rumor turned into one of the most infamous financial scandals in country history. A reminder that even legends can be brought low, and that sometimes the only way forward is to sing your way through the storm. Number 12. Tammy Wynette's mysterious abduction.
But if you love him...
In 1978, Tammy Wynette shocked the country music world when she claimed she had been kidnapped at gunpoint from a Nashville shopping mall, beaten, and left for dead along a desolate road. The tabloids lit up, but behind closed doors, Nashville was buzzing with doubt. Was this the terrifying crime it seemed, or a carefully constructed cover story? Rumors swirled endlessly. Some insiders whispered that Tammy's account didn't add up. Others suspected the attack was linked to her troubled personal life and her volatile relationship with George Ritchie. For years, the truth was shrouded in mystery. The official story stayed intact, but the cracks kept widening. In the aftermath, Tammy appeared on television, her face bruised, telling America about the ordeal. The sympathy was real, but so was the suspicion. Some police officers quietly questioned her version of events, while colleagues in Nashville wondered why no suspects were ever charged. The whispers only grew louder. Decades later, Tammy's own daughters came forward, suggesting that the abduction had never happened the way their mother described. They believed it was staged, perhaps to hide the darker realities of her marriage. The revelation reframed everything. What once seemed like a bizarre tabloid rumor slowly hardened into a chilling truth that Tammy's story of violence may have been masking even greater pain at home. It left fans torn between sympathy and suspicion. Was she a victim, or was she hiding something even worse? Either way, the mystery of her abduction remains one of the most unsettling and unresolved chapters in the legacy of the First Lady of country music. Number 11. Loretta Lynn built her career on songs that hit like a punch to the gut. And fans long speculated that her lyrics weren't just art, they were autobiography. From Don't Come Home, A Drinkin' to The Pill, the rumors were constant. Loretta wasn't inventing stories, she was telling her own. As her fame grew, she confirmed it time and again. The fights with her husband Doolittle, the hardships of being a young mother, the bold embrace of women's rights. Every line was born from her own battles. Nashville executives warned her not to sing so bluntly, not to air her dirty laundry on stage, but Loretta doubled down. She knew that millions of women lived the same struggle she did, and she gave them a voice. Her honesty brought backlash. Radio stations banned her songs. Conservative audiences called her unladylike. But the very controversies that tried to silence her only amplified her legacy. Each rumor about her fiery pen proved to be true. Loretta's songs were carved straight from the heart, a diary in melody and rhyme. The truth in the end was simple and staggering. Loretta Lynn wasn't just singing country music. She was living it in real time, transforming her private scars into public anthems. The rumor that her songs were her life, it wasn't a rumor at all. It was the very thing that made her an icon. Number 10. Johnny Cash and June Carter's Forbidden Love.
Darling companion, come on and give me.
The chemistry between Johnny Cash and June Carter was undeniable on stage. Their duets lit up audiences, their playful banter hinting at something deeper. But for years, whispers claimed their romance began long before it was ever acknowledged, while Johnny was still married to his first wife, Vivian. For a conservative Nashville, the idea was scandalous, almost unthinkable. Behind the curtain, those whispers were true. The pair fell for each other on the road, sharing late-night conversations, temptations, and the loneliness of touring life. Johnny was spiraling into addiction, and June became both confidant and savior, even as the affair put her own reputation at risk. It was a love born in secrecy, carried on in stolen moments. When the truth finally surfaced, the world was divided. Some saw betrayal, others saw destiny. Eventually, their romance grew into a marriage that endured until June's passing in 2003. The scandal of how it began never fully disappeared, but the strength of their bond and the iconic songs they shared overshadowed the whispers. Cash himself would later admit that June saved his life more than once, dragging him from the edge of destruction, holding him steady when the pills and the darkness nearly swallowed him whole. Their story, born in rumor and controversy, ended as one of the greatest testaments to love and redemption that country music has ever seen. The rumors were true, and from them grew one of the most enduring love stories in country history. Number 9. Dolly Parton's Secret Tattoos. For decades, Nashville insiders whispered that Dolly Parton hid tattoos beneath her long sleeves. Fans dismissed it as gossip, imagining it was just another tall tale added to the legend of Dolly. After all, the Queen of Country was known for her glittering gowns and signature style, not body ink. But the whispers carried truth. In interviews later in her life, Dolly admitted that yes, she had tattoos. They weren't the bold, flashy designs people imagined. Instead, they were small, delicate, pastel-colored patterns she used to cover scars from past surgeries, flowers, ribbons, and soft tones. Private artwork never meant for the stage lights. The reveal only added to her mystique. What fans thought was an outrageous rumor became another reminder that Dolly has always kept parts of herself hidden, tucked away behind the sparkle and smiles. The tattoos weren't scandalous, but they were real, and they proved that even the most public icons can keep secrets close to the skin. And in true Dolly fashion, she turned even this revelation into charm. She laughed at the speculation, teased her fans with half-truths, and kept the mystery alive. Because Dolly understood something few artists ever do, that sometimes the story people tell about you is just as powerful as the truth itself. Number 8. Elvis Presley's Opry Rejection.
Been traveling over mountains.
Few stories have traveled farther in country lore than the night Elvis Presley first walked onto the Grand Ole Opry stage, and the night he was quietly shown the door. The year was 1954. Elvis was just 19, a shy kid from Tupelo, Mississippi, with slicked back hair, a secondhand guitar, and a sound unlike anything Nashville had heard before. Backed by Scotty Moore and Bill Black, he tore into Bill Monroe's Blue Moon of Kentucky, flipping the waltz-time bluegrass classic into a rocking up-tempo number that rattled the rafters. The crowd was polite but not moved. For the Opry faithful, Elvis's rhythm-heavy performance felt strange, even sacrilegious. Backstage, the mood was worse. Opry manager Jim Denny reportedly told Elvis he just wasn't a fit for the show's traditional audience and advised him to return to truck driving. Whether or not the exact words were spoken, the outcome was the same. Elvis was never invited back. Crushed, he left Nashville that night, certain he had blown his one shot at stardom. But fate had other plans. Within weeks, he signed a contract with the Louisiana Hayride in Shreveport, where the crowd reaction was the exact opposite: wild, unrestrained, electric. The Hayride gave Elvis a stage that embraced his style and launched him into the stratosphere. The Opry's rejection wasn't just rumor, it was a defining misstep in country history. The institution that had welcomed Hank Williams and Kitty Wells failed to recognize the future standing in front of them. The polite dismissal of a truck-driving teenager became one of Nashville's most infamous mistakes, and the boy they sent home became the king of rock and roll. Number 7. George Jones riding a lawnmower to the liquor store.
I watch the years pass slowly by.
It sounded like a joke you'd hear after Last Call. When his wife hid the car keys, George Jones fired up a riding mower and puttered down the highway to buy whiskey. Tall tale. Not this time. Jones later admitted it himself, chapter and verse, in I Live to Tell It All. Picture it. Late night, the house quiet, temptation loud. With the Oldsmobile out of reach, he climbed onto a little mower that topped out at a crawl. 8 miles of darkness, neon like a distant lighthouse, motor humming, gravel popping under the tires, the possum inching toward that bottle 1 yard at a time. He made it. He bought the liquor. He drove the same slow road home. Years later, after hard-won sobriety, Jones could laugh about it, but the story laid bare what addiction can make a man do. The rumor that sounded too ridiculous to be real turned out to be a confession, and one of the strangest, truest snapshots of a country legend at war with himself. Number 6. Patsy Cline's Premonitions of Death.
I've got your picture.
In country circles, a whisper followed Patsy Cline. She sensed the end coming. It wasn't just fan lore. In the months before the 1963 plane crash, Patsy confided to friends that something felt wrong, as if time were narrowing around her. She had already survived a brutal car wreck in 1961 and spoke often about a strange calm, a readiness that frightened those who loved her. On stage, her voice was velvet and thunder. Off stage, she began to put her affairs in order, writing letters and making remarks that sounded like farewells. She joked less about tomorrow. She hugged a little longer after shows. To outsiders, it was superstition. To the people close to her, it felt like a woman staring down fate. When the plane went down on a dark Tennessee night, the rumor hardened into something eerie and unforgettable. Patsy hadn't just sung heartbreak. She seemed to see her own. The legend of her premonitions endures, a chilling echo that haunts every note she left behind. Her story still unsettles fans today. Did she truly sense her own end, or was it coincidence magnified by tragedy? Whatever the answer, the power of her voice and the mystery of her final days are forever intertwined, making her loss all the more haunting. Number 5. Hank Williams' Final Ride. The story was whispered first by truckers and bar owners. Hank Williams died in the back seat of a Cadillac, and the driver didn't know for hours. It sounded too grim, too lonely, even for Hank. But when the details emerged from that bitter New Year's run of 1952 to 53, the rumor proved heartbreakingly close to the truth. Hank had been booked to play holiday shows up north, his body failing him, his demons wide awake. A young driver ferried him through winter highways, while Hank, dosed on painkillers and alcohol, slumped under a blanket. Somewhere along that long, cold stretch, the greatest voice in hillbilly music went quiet. By the time the car stopped for help, the drifting cowboy had already drifted too far. Reports and timelines still argue over the exact moment, but the essence is undeniable. Hank Williams' last miles were spent in silence, carried across state lines like a broken prayer. The rumor wasn't just true, it was a final verse that sounded exactly like one of his own songs. In the decades since, his death has become legend, a tragic bookend to a career that defined country music itself. Every retelling of his final ride carries a weight of sorrow, as if the road still remembers the silence in that Cadillac. Number 4. Reba McEntire's band plane crash.
That you could be mine if good things come.
When headlines flashed in 1991 that members of Reba McEntire's touring family had been killed in a plane crash, some assumed tabloid distortion. Too sudden, too cruel to accept. But the tragedy was real. After a late-night engagement on the West Coast, a chartered flight carrying much of her band and her tour manager lifted into dark, rough air and never cleared the mountain ridge ahead. There were no survivors. Reba wasn't on that plane. She awoke to a phone call that split her world in two, the before and the after. In the months that followed, she poured her grief into the only vessel that could hold it, music. She dedicated an album to those she lost, a quiet monument built from melody and memory, and carried their names with her to every stage. What began as a shocking rumor hardened into one of country music's most devastating truths. It wasn't scandal, it was sorrow, and it etched a permanent line through Reba's story that even success could never erase. To this day, Reba speaks of that night with tears in her voice, proof that even decades later, the pain never leaves. For her fans, the tragedy serves as a reminder that even icons are not spared life's cruelties. Number 3. Glenn Campbell's Secret Struggles.
Galveston, oh Galveston.
For years, Glenn Campbell looked like the picture of primetime polish, a TV star with a sunlit grin and radio anthems that soared. But the whisper beneath the shine said otherwise. Behind closed doors, Campbell was unraveling. The rumors were right. He battled alcohol and drugs, tanking relationships, picking fights, and shaking the golden image built by hits like Rhinestone Cowboy. As the 70s bled into the 80s, arrests and headlines followed. The man who could make a guitar sing like a lark found himself in rehab rooms, trying to tune a life gone off key. Then came the slow, halting climb back, faith, sobriety, and the courage to admit it all out loud. Decades later, when he faced Alzheimer's, he chose honesty again, touring while he still could, letting fans witness both the beauty and the cost of a life in music. The rumors weren't just true, they were the shadow to his spotlight. Proof that even the brightest careers can carry darkness, and that confession can be its own kind of comeback. Campbell's openness about his battles has since inspired countless artists to drop their masks and share their truths. His legacy is not just in the songs he left behind, but in the courage he showed in confronting his demons. Number 2, Waylon Jennings' Brush with Death.
It's the same old tune, fiddle and guitar.
Every outlaw has a ghost, and Waylon Jennings wore a winter coat. In 1959, on a Frozen tour called The Winter Dance Party, Jennings gave up his seat on a small plane to a sick bandmate. Another seat was decided by a coin toss. The rumor that Waylon joked to Buddy Holly, "I hope your old plane crashes," sounded too dark to be real, but Waylon later admitted he said it, a smart aleck retort he would regret for the rest of his life. When the plane went down, guilt moved in like a permanent roommate. Jennings carried it through the wild years, through pills and endless miles, through the roar of the outlaw movement he helped create. He lived, he thrived, he changed country music, but that one line kept echoing. Friends said it haunted him, a phantom he could never fully shake. Even in moments of triumph, when stadiums roared and outlaw country conquered the airwaves, Jennings carried the burden of survival. His story shows us that even legends with fire in their veins can be shackled by a single sentence spoken in jest. That haunting guilt gave his music a rawness that fans felt deep in their bones. Waylon's survival came with scars, and it's those scars that made his songs cut so true. Number 1, The Murder of Spade, Cooley's wife.
Have you seen Miss Molly? Her cheeks are rosy red. Her lips are...
Some rumors feel like warnings you pray are false. With Spade Cooley, the whispers about violence at home sounded like jealous gossip aimed at a star. They weren't. In the early 1960s, the Western Swing King, once a fixture of TV and ballrooms, brutally murdered his wife in a crime so shocking it shattered his career and horrified the very audience that crowned him. The trial exposed a pattern of jealousy and abuse hiding behind showbiz smiles. Cooley was convicted and sent away, his glittering past reduced to a headline and a case file. Years later, on a temporary release to perform at a sheriff's benefit, he collapsed and died. No encore, no redemption. The rumor that began as a murmur became a monstrous truth. Behind the big band sheen was a nightmare. It stands as one of the darkest chapters, not just in country music, but in American entertainment history. The Cooley case also forced fans and the industry to reckon with how little they truly knew about their idols. It stands as a grim reminder that fame can mask horror, and that some rumors hide truths too terrible to ignore. Which of these country rumors do you think was the most shocking? We're eager to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more hidden stories from the world of country music. Before you go, make sure to check out the other videos on your screen. You won't want to miss them.